Gravity Rush 2 is one of the prime reasons why I love Japanese video games. They tend to be filled with weird and fun ideas that can't be seen anywhere else. And this game is no different. Gravity Rush 2 has you play as Kat, the self-proclaimed Gravity Queen, as she's able to shift gravity to her will with the help of her cat Dusty. The game takes place immediately after Gravity Rush Overture, a 20-minute animation that ends with Kat being separated from Raven and Dusty due to a gravity storm. Outside of the last few minutes, I wouldn't say it's a must-watch, but it does help fill in some of the blanks. Naturally, it would be highly recommended if you played the first game as well, as there will be a ton of returning characters. The story itself is told in what feels like separate parts. As mentioned earlier, you're separated from your friend, that is your fellow gravity shifter Raven, and your partner Dusty. You do, however, have Sid by your side, and with the both of you, you lend your help to the Banga settlement. By help, I mean serve your leader Lisa and do whatever task she gives you. Those who work are those who eat in her book. Eventually, the settlement moves to the city Jirgapara Lao. Once in the city, the world is yours. The game is immediately opened up to you, and you aren't gated, so you're free to explore as much as you want. On a relative scale, the world is huge, yet feels incredibly small and cramped. On the bright side, however, it always feels like there's constantly something to do somewhere. Nothing feels out of place. Exploring the world just feels fantastic. Just like the first game, falling through the air is nothing but pure bliss. To match that bliss, the music is an absolute blast to listen to. If you watch anime, you might have heard Tanaka Koi's music from One Piece or even the original Dragon Ball. The feeling of adventure and exploration is just riddled everywhere in this game's orchestral score. The main story and the stories that unfold through this game are great. Each arc feels like a complete game, which honestly feels kind of weird. The game itself is told in 4 chapters, and the first 2 could hold their own as a separate game, with the third being yet another separate game, and the final being just kind of there as a 4 or 5 hour long post-game mission. Each of the game's arcs just feel tonally different from one another, due to the fact that none of them seem to really connect. Not to mention, the plot feels like a jumbled mess at times because things tend to happen out of nowhere due to reasons. Said reasons are barely and rarely explained. If they are explained, it's by a very thin string. It's not exactly a bad thing per se, because when things get crazy, the game does the right thing and embraces how crazy it gets by becoming even crazier. At the same time, it would have been nice if things were fleshed out a bit more, because like I said earlier, a lot of the arcs felt like they could have been their own game entirely. The further you go in the story, the more side events open up to you. These side events lend to what make Gravity Rush so great. One minute, Kat's using her powers to be a firefighter. The next, she's delivering newspapers, being a gardener, a miner, a sales rep, the star in the next hit movie, Battle Nurse. You name it, she's probably done it. The industry absolutely needs more characters like Kat. Is she somewhat childish and naive? Sure, but at the same time, she wants to help who she can whenever she can. She's neither flawed nor flawless. She's just written as a normal person, and the game treats her as such. One of the big things that makes Gravity Rush 2 different from that of the first game is the inclusion of a camera. With it, you can take pictures anywhere and at any time, whether you're falling from the sky, just floating in the area, or just standing on the ground. Along with the ability to be used online, the camera has different filters you can unlock, and certain side missions will unlock items that you can put in the image as well. What really sets it apart, though, is that it adds a little more variety to the game, as most of the missions that involve stealth also involve the use of the camera. For example, in one side mission, you have to sneak around a bunch of guards to take a picture of their base, and then get out of there. For what they're worth, stealth missions are a nice addition in mission variety, however, they just aren't good. Telling someone that can manipulate gravity to stop manipulating gravity makes things way slower and ultimately mundane. They just aren't fun. The guards are very easy to get around, and if one does see you, you can just beat them up before it's too late. The camera doesn't exactly add stealth to the game either. Gameplay in Gravity Rush 2 is pretty much the same as it was in the first game to almost every degree. If you've played the first game, you pretty much know the drill on how everything works. Kat can only control gravity for so long before her gravity gauge runs out. Whether you've run it dry or used it for a little bit and just stopped after a few seconds, the gauge will refill automatically, allowing you to do it all over again. Kat also has an SP gauge that fills up when she's kicking her opponents. Once filled up, she can use a special attack. The SP gauge slightly decreases when using your status fields though, so be mindful of when you want to throw something at an enemy or had enough and just throws them off a ledge or something. The game does mix up gameplay a little bit by adding 2 extra forms to the mix, Lunar and Jupiter. Lunar style, just as the name implies, makes you feel as if you're on the moon. You're not exactly slower, but you're definitely floatier. You can now charge your jumps to jump extremely high while in the air. When on a ledge, you can rocket jump too, which truly makes you feel like you're soaring through the air. Granted, it's only for a little while before you essentially hit the ground head first, much like a rocket. When in this form, Kat's moveset is much different than her normal form. When performing kicks while shifting, instead of a dive kick, she actually opens up a wormhole to her opponents and kicks them that way. This especially works on faster opponents you might have trouble hitting otherwise. When getting items thrown via her stasis field, they don't do much damage, but they do stun her opponents for a short while. And when her SP gauge is full, unlike in her normal form when she's practically drilling into her opponents, here it's more of the entire field becomes enraptured in a stasis and she throws everything at her opponents as if they were hit by a meteor shower. Her other mode, Jupiter, acts as the exact opposite of Lunar. Instead of feeling almost weightless, you become heavy, very heavy. So heavy, in fact, that when dodging, Kat barely moves. She just covers her head and calls it a day. She doesn't really kick when grounded either, she punches instead. When shifting, her kicks become chargeable drop kicks. The longer you charge it, the farther it'll go and the more powerful it'll become. It's absolutely fantastic to use on a group of grounded enemies, as they're hit with the shockwave of your impact. When you use your stasis, you don't have multiple items to carry, as they'll all come together to form one big piece of rubble to throw against an opponent. Lastly, once her SP gauge is full, she becomes the center of a black hole with a pretty big radius. Truth be told, this move is a bit overpowered as I obliterated entire bosses with it. It's absolutely insane. But where there are pros, there are also cons. As fun as it is to control all 3 of these forms, fighting grounded enemies is simple enough. The fact that the game doesn't have a fully developed lock-on button makes air combat a struggle. Sure, Lunar mode has her zip right to her enemies, but you don't necessarily do the amount of damage as it should, and not using it risks missing your kick. Regardless, if you whiff it, you have to rotate the camera until you found the target and try again. It's not horrible, but it's definitely a pain, and it just comes across as annoying for the most part. Once again, harking back to the first game, all of Kat's abilities can be improved by gathering the gems throughout the city. Upgrading these abilities not only makes them stronger, but also have positive side effects. For instance, upgrading her fighting skill enough can cause her stagger in Jupiter mode to become non-existent, while upgrading the stasis field will let you hold on to more items at once. Lunar's and Jupiter's properties when using it become even more powerful. Unfortunately, you can't farm to get maximum HP right out the gate, as that's secluded for the amount of missions you do. If going up and down buildings and down entire islands aren't your thing, then you can always mine them. Outside of side missions to do, there are also mine expeditions to go on as well. There's generally no mission on these expeditions outside of you going at it, gathering as many gems as you want, and then getting out. Some are just boss fights, but that's about it. When mining, you might also come across some talismans, which boost Kat's power even further. You can equip up to 3 at once, one for Lunar form, your normal form, and the Jupiter slot. Don't worry though, as the equipped gems work across all forms, although some might have specific properties that only work in certain forms. Each talisman can have up to 3 properties, meaning you have to buff Kat in 9 different ways, or have one super buff stat, unless it says the property can't be buffed of course. You can recycle 5 at once and get a new one in return. It's possible to combine 2 of the same types and have their properties combined to make a new one. If you have 2 of the exact same talisman, you can also morph it into a different type of talisman, but it will maintain the exact same properties. There's a lot more to do in terms of content compared to that of the first game. The trial missions are as hard as ever, but there's more to it than that, given the game now has online features too, with online being absolutely seamless. On top of doing time trials from the game, you can also challenge other players' times as well. That's not just what the online is for either, as the pictures you take can be sent online for people to see and rate. If rated positively, you'll be given Dusty tokens, which can be used to unlock rare talismans along with costumes. There's also hidden treasure throughout the world, which you can take pictures of to trigger a treasure hunt for others to find in their copies of the game. There are also hidden pieces of art to look for as well, which will reveal small pieces of the game's lore when taken a picture of. When it comes down to it, the game has so many highs and yet very little lows. If this is truly the last game as it's marketed to be, then it's a shame there won't be a gravity rush of a fleshed out story and perfected combat. At the same time, with this one, there's so much packed in it, if another were to be announced, it would be a very long ways away. A game like this is incredibly special and only comes along every so often. Gravity Rush is easily one of the Vita's best games, and Gravity Rush 2 was easily one of the best video games ever made. And that does it for our review of Gravity Rush 2. To see the full written review, be sure to check out our website, gaminggamma.com. A link to the review will be provided down in the description bar below. And if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a comment down in the comment section below, letting us know what you guys thought of it, and be sure to subscribe for future Let's Plays, reviews, commentaries, and more. And as always everyone, this is GammaLad, signing off.